This book revolves around the most divisive take that I've had so far regarding a Goosebumps book. And it's the fact that I actually enjoyed this book. Because when I spoke to people about how they felt about the book, a lot of them said that they did not like this book. And after reading it and hearing some of the complaints, I completely understand, but I actually ended up enjoying it. People told me I might rate it as certified doo-doo water. No, it's actually quite the opposite. I actually did enjoy the book. Now, do I think it's a great book or fantastic book by any means? No. But I think it's a good book. It has fun merits to it. I think you'll have a good time. And I want to talk a little bit about the parts that I did overall enjoy. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Yes, the very first Goosebumps mummy book to come within the series. And it comes from OG62. And I think it is one of the two OG62 mummy-related books. So yeah, let's get into it. If you guys like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel down below and like the video. It's a free way to support me and lets me know you guys like the content, motivates me to keep putting out more and makes it more interactive. And also be sure to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Did you like the book? Did you not like the book? Do you agree with me? Do you think that I'm completely wilding out? I want to hear it all. And also let me know some books you want me to read in the near future, and I'll try to get to them as best as I can. So yeah, let's get into this review. So immediately off the rip, I read this book. And in the beginning, I realized, yo, Stein is running out of ideas. And this is like the 7th or 8th book. I'm like, yo, as soon as I read that the dude's name was Uncle Ben, I was like, oh, yo, I already figured out the story. I know what's going to happen. And Stein, you're supposed to surprise me. You're supposed to trick me. You're supposed to make me invested. But I already figured out your whole plan the whole time. All right. Uncle Ben is obviously going to be victimized by the villain. He's going to end up dying. And obviously Gabe is going to be holding him in his arms like, Uncle Ben, how could this happen? And he's going to hit him with, Gabe, even though you're a trash protagonist and you're an annoying little shit, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, he was gonna pass out and die right there. The mummy was finna rip its hands through his heart, rip it out, yo. Like, I was like, yo, Uncle Ben, he's gonna die. He's gonna die some dramatic death. And Gabe's gonna be like, no. And then Gabe is gonna turn into Egyptian Spider-Man, all right? The man's gonna be running around Egypt. He's gonna be running around Cairo, swinging on the pyramids. He's gonna be fighting merchant robbers at the local market on the street, all right? He's gonna be making sure all that fake jewelry that they're trying to sell on those street corners does not affect people's lives, all right? That fake jewelry that costs $500 that's actually worth like $2, you can't get finessed by that. And why? Because Gabe, the Egyptian Spider-Man, is going to be there to take care of it, all right? And instead of shooting webs, he's going to be shooting out mummified paper, all right? I guess it's more like toilet paper man, which doesn't sound as appealing as Egyptian Spider-Man. Let me rethink his superhero gimmick before I get back to that. But obviously, that's not what happens in the book, all right? That's not the plot synopsis. What do you expect me, all right? When you name a character Uncle Ben, do you expect me to not believe that that's what's going to happen? All right, Stein, I'm on to your game, all right? You trying to fool me? You won. You won. This time. Next time, you might not be so lucky. All right, so let's get into the plot synopsis for real as to what this book's about. So you have Gabe. And Gabe is with his parents in Egypt, and they're investigating the pyramids because his parents are archaeologists, and they are really interested in this stuff. And Gabe is not. He's complaining and whining the whole time. He's like, oh, I can't stand the desert. It's so dry. Yeah, and Antarctica is cold, bro. Like, what do you mean? And he's thirsty. Oh, you got a drink. Should have packed a Coke before you left. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. He's whining. He's whining, does not like the desert, and his parents get fed up with it. And eventually, his parents, when they get back to the hotel, realize that they have to go on an important business trip that's happened last minute. But Gabe doesn't want to go with them, and Gabe's like, yo, I have an idea. Since you guys are going out here, and I know I'm not going to enjoy going with you guys on this trip, can I go with our infamous Uncle Ben? Because Uncle Ben is a famous uncle of his who's working on the pyramids, and he's really fun. He's a cool guy, and Gabe really likes him. So he's like, yo, let me... Also, I don't know if the main character's name is Gabe, but I'm just going to assume so. Remembering Goosebumps names are difficult as can be because they're forgettable. But Gabe wants to go with Uncle Ben, and the parents are like, all right, you know what? We're going to let you go with Uncle Ben. And what happens is that he meets up with Uncle Ben and his cousin Sari, who is Uncle Ben's daughter. And Sari is also annoying because she is super competitive with Gabe. She's always trying to one-up him, always trying to seem smart and stuck up, and basically ends up trying to make him look like a fool and does so successfully. Gabe is always getting embarrassed by her. So they head to the pyramids that Uncle Ben and his research team are looking at. And what ends up happening is they investigate a little bit. It's really creepy. It's dark down there, dingy. Obviously, they're within unexplored tunnels of a pyramid, so it's really dry in there. They got spiders and insects. It's dark. It's terrifying. You feel like at any moment something could come up behind you and grab you. You feel like you might get lost and never get out of your way. So it's a real adventure type of feel, right? Like Indiana Jones exploring the temple, that kind of feel. And what happens is that an unexpected sickness falls upon the workers that are in this pyramid. And, Uncle Ben can't really explain it, but he's had people threaten him about curses, about the potential possibilities of, hey, something bad may happen if you invade this pyramid. There may be bad omens to come your way, and they all sort of ignore it. But after that, it starts getting weird, and obviously Gabe and Sari get roped into some things. And let's just say that there is some crazy villainry going on, all right? The villain in the story is pretty brutal, pretty insane, has some pretty dope motives, and there's some real life horror that happens in this book. And that's the most I'm going to explain, because if I explain more, it's going to potentially get spoiler territory, and I don't want you to get spoiled because I did enjoy this book, and I want you to read this book so you can decide whether you enjoy it or not. So why do I like this book? The reason I like this book is because, for one, in the second act of the book, first, I should say, the first thing is I really love the Egyptian setting, right? I love that Egyptian setting. I love pyramids. I love exploring the insides of these temples that have never been explored before. I love the desert environment. I wish they explored more about hieroglyphics in this book, because hieroglyphics are obviously a big part of pyramids, but they don't do that. But yeah, hieroglyphics are a big part. The artwork, the culture, the mummification of pharaohs, all that stuff really interests me. So obviously off rip, I was a little bit biased towards the book. And in the second act, you get some real life horror of kidnapping. Yeah, there is straight up kidnapping that happens in this book. No sort of beating around the bush, just straight up the main characters get kidnapped, and potentially they don't know what's going to happen to them. And being smart characters, they actually tuck and roll out of the vehicle, all right? They actually open up that vehicle door, tuck and roll out of there, may go into oncoming traffic, but you know what? Whatever you can to escape. And they actually effectively escape in one part of this book from a straight up kidnapping, which salute to them. Even though they're annoying, even though they're like absolutely unredeemable at certain parts of this book, that scene was pretty smart. The fact that they were able to escape the potential villain, they're able to escape the person who's chasing them, and they get out of this hostage situation by tuck and rolling out of the vehicle. That's smart. All right, that's what you're supposed to do, kids. So some of these kids in these books be sitting there like it's a damn Disney amusement park, right? Like, I can't wait to see what happens next. Where is he going to take us? Like, no, get out. Do not stay there, kids, all right? And what these guys do, that's what you're supposed to do. Run, run, run. If you get lost, hey, man, run into the cops, run into someone who can help you. Stay away from your kidnapper, all right? Do not try to negotiate or figure out what the kidnapper's doing. I wonder if he's going to take us to Disney World, man. I wonder what he's going to do with this. He seems like a really nice guy. No, no, no. No. No, all right? No. Shout out to the main characters for doing that smart decision. All right, and that's some real life horror, and that resonated with me because I was like, all right, this can happen in real life. This stuff does happen in real life much too often, unfortunately, and it does give you that tension that you want. And then another reason why I love this book is the climax of the book. The climax reveal as to who the villain is, what their motives are, what's going on behind the scenes that they've been doing. It is extremely brutal. It is dark. It is disturbing. And it is high action intense, all right? The atmosphere of the inside of this pyramid, specifically the main, I guess, part of the pyramid that the climax takes place in, that certain area, is very intense. It's terrifying. The imagery is terrifying. What is potentially going on scares you. And then once it's revealed what's actually going on, It is disturbing, dark, brutal, may or may not have to do with some very, very irredeemable crimes. And yeah, once you realize that you are in danger, it gets very intense. And there is some potential fighting, potential, risking lives, potential, you almost dying at any moment, you dying possibly a very brutal death. That villain of the main book, the main villain of this book is amazing. All right. I love their motives. I love their motives tying back to the traditions involving Egyptian culture and what goes on with the pharaohs, what goes on with the protectors, the carrying on of wills, that kind of thing. I respect their motives. I like the brutality that they have. I like the deep dark secrets that they reveal. And I love the setting of the climax. And I think the climax has some good emotional moments in it. I think that, as annoying as the main characters are, there's a moment in the book where basically the main characters sort of rely on each other and they get very close to each other because they're in a near death scenario, and they sort of open up to each other more. And after the book's over, you kind of get the sense where they do respect each other a little bit more, and that makes me satisfied about sort of where their characters are, because the fact that they were so annoying and in a life or death scenario they are there for each other, and you see specifically one of them open up to the other one and try to comfort them and try to rely on them to get them out of the situation. That was really intense. So I did like that, even though there are other parts of the book where they're very annoying, where they are obnoxious. That part did kind of make it up for me, specifically for me, in terms of emotional kind of character building. And it may not be the best character building, but when you're in a life or death scenario and you start opening up to another person, that's emotional. That's heartfelt. That lets you know that that tough outer shell that they put on is not really who they are. All right, and once you see who they really are, it can make you appreciate and respect that person more. And then the climax to the book, the way it ends off, there's one aspect that I don't like about it, that I wish it could have further gone through with something and taken care of a certain issue, but it didn't. But either way, it's still overall, I think, a pretty good climax for the book. And the twist ending is, I guess, a twist ending. It's not fully a twist ending, but I do have to say this book does end on a more wholesome note, and it does give you this sort of feel-good feeling about the adventure and the circumstances you sort of dealt with. And that's all I'm going to say about this book. Those are the positive as to why I like this book. I had a fun time. I enjoyed it. There are parts of this book that I really love. And even though I would probably still give it like, if I had to give this book a rating, I'm probably going to give it like maybe 3.8. I'm going to give this book a 3.8 out of 5. I'm going to give it a 7.6 out of 10. I think this book is a C+. Even though it's C, it is fun, it is enjoyable, I do like it, and I did have a fun time with it, and I would definitely recommend you reading this book. It has some very intense scenes, very creepy, very high stakes, and it gives you some emotional feelings at certain parts. It gives you this feeling of desperation that you have to overcome, and the ending of the book is overall, I would say, pretty wholesome. And I forgot to say, the climax of the book does involve a certain object, which did have foreshadowing, did have setup earlier in the book. So I like in Goosebumps when something that's established early on is brought back and it is utilized fully. I do enjoy that. So I recommend you read this book. Again, I give it a 7.6 out of 10, a 3.8 out of 5. I would recommend this book to everyone. I definitely think you should read it. And I haven't read the sequel yet, Return of the Mummy, but I do plan on reading that sometime soon. And since I did enjoy this book, I'm hoping and thinking that I will enjoy that one. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Again, if you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Be sure to hit that like button down below as well. And be sure to comment down below your own thoughts and opinions. Did you enjoy the book? Did you not? Let me know all your thoughts and books you want me to read. I have other content on this channel involving OG62 and other Goosebumps series, so be sure to check out and stay tuned for more content to come. That's all I have for today. Deuces. Uncle Ben, man. I mean, listen, how can you not? How can you not think about Spider-Man, all right? Listen, No Way Pyramid. I'm going to work on the name. Far from Pyramid?